I don't understand why progressives do not understand that we are the underdog too. We have been for world history. And I think it's high time, frankly. This is really important to me.
Yeah, sure.
This is really important. I don't look like someone who needs any affection or support or protection, probably. I look like a white man, right? Well, let me tell you, people of my faith are being attacked, and they have been for world history, including 6 million of us killed in the Holocaust, including family members of mine, I'm sure, and pogroms that forced my family away. And now we're subject to sickening, vile anti-Semitism every day. One country. All we're saying is one country of the people of our faith to seek refuge in. And if you have one country that now combines millions of Palestinians, there's no more Jewish country in the world. And if America could have said, you know what, when the first boats left the Holocaust and came to this country, that we would have accepted them, maybe a different story. But Brianna, there is no place for Jewish people to go. And I would just ask that you open your heart.
Yeah.
But let me just finish.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished.
Ask you to open your heart to what it's like to not look like someone who maybe needs some help. But let me tell you, speaking for millions of Jewish people around the world right now, I think it's really offensive that progressives have totally forgotten history and what the misery of being Jewish has been for generations and generations and generations, for reasons that I do not really understand, but is real. So please, don't let that progressive love stop at my door. Well, okay.
I'll help you understand. For one, Representative Phillips, strikes me as a little ironic that you're going to say to me in my face as a Black American who doesn't have the option of someone that the United Nations and the international community having intervened on my behalf to create an entire country for my people who have zero options of some place to flee, who have been living in an apartheid state of our own in the United States of America, which has the 25% of the world's prison population that was disproportionately filled with my people, who was reported this week, substantively make all of the paint and slave labor products in the United States of America so we can compete with China and the rest of the world. The idea that you're looking at me and saying that I don't have empathy and can't open my heart to the psychic idea.
Brianna, I do have empathy. That's what I'm asking for.
I am a progressive, so I'm speaking to you as a progressive, but also as a Black progressive. I have enormous empathy. Wait a minute. I have enormous empathy for the reasons why Jewish people want a Jewish state.
You're going to hit him hard, right? Just so you understand. You're going to hit him hard, but just to show you how the devil operates, right? When he looked at her and said, there's no way you can understand how someone who looks like me can be going through so much so-called, with inverted quotes, misery in America, he was saying, and around the world. He looked on her as a so-called Black person and says he doesn't know how someone like her, she can't understand how someone like who looks like him could be going through so much. This is what the devil said, right? So much misery and persecution in America, he said, and around the world, right? He's saying that she could never understand that because she doesn't look like him. He's looking on a so-called Black person and telling them that they don't understand. They don't know what it's like to live with oppression, right? Oppression on a daily basis by the rest of the world, unless they look like him, the devil. But it's the devil. Like, listen, she's going to hit him hard. She's going to hit him hard. But listen up, I'm going to continue playing it, right? I think her name is Breonna Taylor. She's from the show The Hill. Okay, and before I continue, I want to give all the praise and the glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to the only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostle, to the elders of Great Millstone. All right, so look at Esau. This is Esau on your right-hand side, right? This is pink. Pink is a shade of red. These are the descendants of the Edomites, the so-called white man. As you can see, his shirt is white, but his face is pink. Pink is a shade of red. She, as you can see, is a shade of brown. Her clothes is black. Her hair, she's got beautiful hair, this girl. Pretty girl, pretty sister as well, trust me, right? Her hair is black, but her skin is not black. She is brown. She's a shade of brown. She's kind of like a ruddy color of brown, that ruddy brown, that reddish brown, beautiful browning, right? So this is Jacob on your left-hand side and Esau on your right-hand side, just so you understand, all right? But listen, she's going to hit him hard. Let me continue playing it.
I talk about this on the podcast a lot. There is a big part of me that says, oh, I get it, because I do not feel safe in the United States of America. Not just me as an individual, but statistically as an aggregate. There's not a metric in the world that you can look at that says that this is a good place for Black Americans to be, that Black Americans are faring well in the United States of America. And I take your point, but it's also true that I know you and I are sitting here as two people who are not Christian in a predominantly Christian state. And there are Christians in America who make this very similar argument about America that it seems to me many people make about Israel, which is, oh, this is a Christian nation. And if immigration trends change and suddenly it does not become as much of a Christian nation, that we should rig the immigrant population to maintain the national character of the United States of America. We call that Christian nationalism, and we think that that's a bigoted principle and that we should not be picking and choosing who comes to this country to maintain some kind of ethnic or religious character that benefits the existing majority. We say, as Americans, we value pluralism and that every kind of person brings their own benefit and that we should protect the least of these and have laws that protect minorities because we value being a nation where minorities can be saved. Not that we have to rig the system so that we are majorities so that we can then dominate over the rest, right? So it strikes me as much as I empathize. When you tell the story of Jewish ships full of Jewish people after the Holocaust being turned away, I've spoken at length on this podcast about how disgusted I was to discover that Otto Frank and Frank's father application was turned away and how close they came to be able to immigrate to America. I'm disgusted by it. But the question is, why should the actions of an anti-Semitic America and an anti-Semitic Europe be paid for by the people of Palestine who had absolutely nothing to do with the horrors of the Holocaust?
I mean, Brianna, first, let me strike at the heart of
that you want.
I mean, Brianna, first, let me strike at the heart of what you just said earlier, which is my empathy for Black America and the long tail of slavery that is so abhorrent and so visible and so obvious that I cannot believe we have not repaired that injustice. I want to honor that and acknowledge that. If anything, I'm telling you, I empathize with that. I was asking for mutual.
Well, you're gonna honor it, right? And you're gonna pay for it in the kingdom. Just so you understand, you're gonna honor, right? Because we're gonna make you remember what you did to us. And you're going to pay for it in the kingdom of heaven that's coming to earth. Not yet, my friend. Time is coming where you're going to have to honor it and pay for what you did to the true children of Israel, the Israelites, all right? It's not going to happen yet. So you keep it on your mind.
Believe we have not repaired that injustice. I want to honor that and acknowledge that. If anything, I'm telling you, I empathize with that. I was asking for mutual empathy, and I don't know if you just shared it with me, but I think you did. But you just asked a question of something that is just, it's just so historically inaccurate. Israel has been attacked because it's a Jewish state for decades. Now, Netanyahu's a different story. I'm not going to support him. What's happening right now is abhorrent, and his policies are abhorrent. It's true. And you can imagine it's not an easy thing to say for someone like me, but it is true. And I'm bold and I'm being honest and I understand. I cannot tolerate seeing this any longer. But Israel has been attacked since the day it was established by the free world after the Holocaust. It was attacked by its neighbors and they survived.
That's like saying that American settlers were attacked by Native Americans because they were white or because they were Christian.
Oh, boy, Brianna, holy moly, boy. I'm telling you. I'm just.
See, they can't understand that. And she's absolutely right. That's just like saying how the settlers were attacked by the Native American Indians for having their land taken from them, stolen, for being murdered by the settlers, the Europeans, raped, murdered, enslaved by the Europeans. And that when they fought back to kill the Europeans, they turned it around and said, the Native American Indians are the savages, they're the terrorists, they're the enemy. But that's what the devil does. That's how the devil works. So it's the same thing when they took these Edomites from around Europe and brought them back to what they call Palestine. And when the Palestinians was fighting them back for the lands that they've been living on for hundreds of years, they turned the tables and said, oh, the Palestinians are terrorists. This is how the devil operates. And they're trying to do the same to us today. They're trying to call us anti-Shemitic because we are calling out these small hats, these Edomites. We are telling you that they are not the children of Israel. They are not the biblical Israelites. Their biblical heritage goes back to Esau, Edom, and the actual small hats, their heritage goes back to Amalek. They're the Amalekites, the grandson of Esau. That's who they are. They're trying to turn the tables and say, no, we are being, this is what they claim to be persecuted against because the truth about them is coming out. So when you speak the truth about these small hats, right, these J people, they say you're anti-Shemitic because you're telling the truth of who they are. You're calling them out also for their wickedness that they're doing, not just in Palestine, around the world. These are your rulers. These people control everything. They control, when you call them out for controlling the mainstream media, they control all what you see on TV, literally. They control social media. They control the major social media platforms short of TikTok, right? They control the military industrial complex. They control the financial institutions. They control the manufacturing institutions. They also control the world institutions, the IMF, the World Bank. They control it all. When you call them out for it, they say, oh, you're anti-Shemitic, you're anti-Shemitic, you're anti-Shemitic. This is how the devil operates. But he is losing the war, the social media wars, losing them. Let's continue.
I got to tell you, I'm expressing empathy for Palestinians, for Muslims, for Black Americans. I'm not feeling what I'm surprised, to be honest with you, and I'm offended.
What is surprising about this?
So he's offended, right? Because she was giving him the representation of the Native American Indians coming up against the settlers, fighting for their land. She was comparing it to what the Palestinians have been doing, fighting against these Israelis. So he found that offensive. Let's just play it back again.
Boy, I'm telling you, I got to tell you, by the free world after the Holocaust, it was attacked by its neighbors, and they survived.
That's like saying that American settlers were attacked by Native Americans because they were white or because they were Christian.
Oh boy, Brianna, holy moly, boy! I'm just telling you, I got to tell you, I'm expressing empathy for Palestinians, for Muslims, for Black Americans. I'm not feeling what I'm surprised, to be honest with you, and I'm offended.
What is surprising about this, Representative?
I'm just surprised. I'm surprised by the lack. I just explained it. I'm surprised by the lack of empathy of progressives relative to the Jewish people and the state of Israel, not Benjamin Netanyahu.
What do you say, Dean Phillips? The question is whether or not a land grant from a colonial power like the UK can be given because of guilt, much well-earned guilt, frankly, over the anti-Semitism and a refusal to accept the victims and the survivors of the Holocaust, and to offload the issue onto another part of the world. And as I'm sure you're aware, there was Africa. But for various reasons, and I highly recommend people go back to listen to our episode with the Zionist historian of Zionism, it ended up being in Palestine. And so that is a kind of original sin that I see as very akin to
where the Jewish people originated. I mean, that's the whole point.
The Jewish people, you people, originated in Mount Seir. Mount Seir, right? Place that was known as Edom, the Edomites. You didn't originate in the land of Israel today, Palestine, right? You didn't originate there. You, so-called small hats, so-called Jewish people, should I say, you small hats, you originated in Mount Seir, in a place called Edom. You did not originate in the land of Canaan, name was changed to the name of Israel after Joshua and the Israelites conquered it from the Canaanites. All right, the Canaanites were the original inhabitants of the land of Canaan, which we know today as Palestine. Right, The Canaanites were Africans, Hamites. They were conquered by the Israelites under Joshua after Moses died, because the Most High promised the land, what they know today as Palestine, which is to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that this was going to be their homeland. Not to you people. You people, the Most High gave you Mount Seir in the Bible. Mount Seir was given to you Edomites, all right? Just so you know.
That's fine.
That's
Dinos,
fine.
but
That's
you
the whole
can't
point.
have,
That's where the Jewish people originated.
you cannot have, there are Ukrainian Jews and Russian Jews and Polish Jews and French Jews and British Jews and Jewish people who've been living in Europe for centuries and decades.
Because that's where they went to after they came out of Mount Seir. After Mount Seir, they lived in the Caucasus Mountains, and after the Caucasus Mountains, they came down into Europe. They took on the persona of the Greeks. They conquered the Greeks. Then they started calling themselves Greeks. They were also the Romans. The Romans conquered the Etruscans, right, who were the original Romans. These were the Etruscans, the sons and daughters of Japhet. The Romans, which are Edomites, conquered the Etruscans and called themselves Romans. And then you had the Greco-Roman Empire, all right, because the original Greeks were not Edomites. The original Greeks were the Spartans, which made up the Lacedaemonians, which made up one of the main Greek states, were Israelites, right? They were mainly from the southern kingdom, Benjamin and Judah, right? They were Israelites. The original Greeks were Israelites. Some of them were Japhite, right? But the Lacedaemonians, who know as the Spartans, which is one of the major Greek states, they were Israelites. The Etruscans were Japhites, people of color. The Edomites came, conquered both of those places under Alexander the Great, the Greeks, under Julius Caesar, the Romans, and started calling themselves Romans, conquered the Etruscans. The Macedonians, the Eastern Europeans, came out of the Caucasus Mountains, conquered the Greeks, and started calling themselves Greeks, Hellenists, Helen, right? So just a little bit of backstory. This is the last bit.
Centuries and centuries. And on the other hand, you have Palestinians who are 80 years old, who are clutching the keys to the houses that they grew up in. They're on the other side of the wall, who have been told that they cannot go home because my Jewish friend who's born in Philadelphia gets to have a right of return, but they do not. Like that is the injustice that we're talking about here. If we're talking about moral weight and what was deserved after the Holocaust, you have my utmost sympathy. You have my utmost empathy. But the question isn't what is owed, it is what is owed from whom. And why is it that Europe gets to offload its own responsibilities? The Jewish state wasn't in Poland. I bet you a whole lot of people who had been chased out of their lands and put into concentration camps would have loved to feel safe in a land where they spoke the language and they had their own community and they had their own belongings and the like. But this is
the only reason they were living there, Brianna, is because they were forced there by the Tsar. It's hard to listen to, but go ahead. I'm just, I'm offended,
need to belabor
but I'm listening.
They're a scourge, mate. They're a scourge. That's the problem. They're a scourge to the nations, these Edomites, all right? Because the original Tsars were also go back to Israel, the Israelites, all right? The original royal families of Russia. So let me just couple scriptures here. Job, that's what I said, boy. The triumphing of the wicked is short, boy. It's coming to an end, Esau. The triumphing of the wicked is short. You know, as you see, today's edification is called the small hats are losing the social media wars, right? Small hats losing the social media wars. Where's my state? This is what they're saying. Where's my state? Yeah, where's our state? We're going to get our kingdom back when the Lord comes, all right? It says, then answered Zophar, the Neanthite, and said, therefore do my thoughts cause me to answer, and for this I make haste. I have heard the check of my reproach, and the spirit of my understanding causes me to answer. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth? The triumphing of the wicked is short. That's what we must understand. This man's rulership is coming to the end. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And the joy of the hypocrite, but for a moment. The greatest hypocrite is these Edomites. As we are clearly seeing what's going on in Palestine, these Edomites are continuously showing their teeth. They're bearing their teeth and their true colors. They are the hypocrite. As you can see, Babylon the Great, controlled by the Edomites. As you can see, Joe Biden, he says in one hand, he says, don't go into Rafah. And on the other hand, he says, send them all of the arms that they need to fight Hamas, because they are hypocrites. One hand, he says, let the aid go in to feed the people. And on the other hand, he says, yeah, go in and do as much damage as you can to take down Hamas, because they are hypocrites. Because the people that are suffering from all of this are who? The general public. We all can see this. But that's Esau. Every war is being the same, whether it's Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, the deaths of the general public, the subjugation and the mass death of the general public makes no difference to these devils. They'll say, oh, well, we're feeding them in this side, and on the other side, we're dropping 1,500-pound bombs on them, 1,000-pound bombs on them. This is what we're doing, right? These are the hypocrites, but their time is coming to an end. Though his excellently mount up to the heavens, and his hands and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? So he's saying that, where he's saying that, where's my state? We're going to be saying, where is he? Because your state that's coming for you, that you're going to get, right, is going to be captivity, right? Your judgment is coming, Esau. It's as simple as that. There's no way a nation of so. That's why when she called him out, when she compared what they was doing, what the settlers, what the Europeans did when they came to the Americas, and the Native American Indians, which are the 10 lost tribes of Israel, right, the Northern Kingdom, when they tried to defend their lands and their people against the Europeans was calling the natives savages and terrorists and all sorts of names. They was labeling them, and then they was murdering them and enslaving them and stealing their land. And at the same time, they was making all sorts of names. Remember, this is what they do, right? It's I'm trying to think of the scripture. Is it Habakkuk 2? It says he takes a man's land. I'm just going to go to it. But that's what we're seeing, his shame and glory being revealed, right? Is it here I want? Well, unto that coveteth his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may deliver him from the power of evil. Yeah. It says, because thou, Habakkuk 2:8, because thou hast spoiled many nations. That's what they've done. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. They're going to come up against this devil. All of the nations are going to come up against these Edomites because of men's blood and for the violence of the land of the city and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high. This is why they're fighting tooth and nail to continue being the top people in the world, these Europeans, America, Babylon the Great, and these Europeans, the small hats. They're fighting tooth and nail, that he may keep his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. This is what the devil has done. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood. That's the Edomites, Esau. And establish a city by iniquity. Those are the Edomites. This is what they're doing. This is what they did in Israel. This is what they did in America. That's why she was comparing what these Europeans did, these Edomites did when they came to the Americas, when the Native American Indians was fighting back against them, starting from stealing their lands and murdering them and enslaving them. She was comparing that to what's going on in Israel. The colonialists, Britain colonized the Middle East with the French. They split it between them, And then they were the ones that put the Balfour Treaty together that allowed these small hats, these Eastern European Edomites, to come back into the land. And then they did what? They built a town and they established it with blood, the same thing they did in America. They established a city by iniquity, the same thing they did in America. It's the same blueprint. Remember, Esau does not change the blueprint. His blueprint is the same because it works everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes. So back to Job, it says, though his excellency mount up to the heavens and his head reached unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more. Neither shall his place any more behold him. Because this man is getting ready to go into captivity. His whole system, his whole world global system is coming to an end. And he is the one that's gonna bring it, it's gonna bring it to the edge because of his greed, his wickedness, his lust for blood, his lust for money and greed and wealth and land, his lust for control. He's gonna bring it to the end. He's gonna bring it to the edge before the Most High sends his son Yahushua and the angels to completely take down this whole system and establish the kingdom of heaven on earth. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. His hands are going to restore their goods because what we know today as true money value, gold, silver, diamonds, is all going to be stripped from this man. This man is getting ready to go, and you better believe it. This man, these Edomites, starting with the globalist elites of Esau, are getting ready to go into captivity. But they're going to come with one last major push that's going to bring us into the war of Armageddon. The Russians, the Americans, the Iranians, the Israelis, the major players in the war, and the rest of the NATO allies and China to come and assist the Russians. His bones are full of the sin of his youth. The sin of his youth goes all the way back to his ancestors. The wickedness that they've done to establish this Western Roman reincarnation empire in the four corners of the world. From Babylon the Great, America is the main place, is the seat of power, is America. It says, which shall lie down with him in the dust, though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue. Oh, we're going to send them aid, let the aid in, but keep sending them bombs, right? That's how the devil operates. It says his blueprint has never changed. From Syria to Libya to Afghanistan to Iraq, Vietnam, Korea, his blueprint has never changed. Though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat in his bowels is turned. It is the gall of ass within him. He has swallowed down riches. That's how he's established this Western world. He completely took out, he stole from Canada to North America to South America to the West Indies. He took it all. He took it all. And then and from that, he made his European countries that he conquered and finally took rulership in Europe as well, because he did that first before he came to the Americas. He swallowed down riches. That's how he built up his empire today. And he shall vomit them up again. The Most High is getting ready to take everything from this man to establish the kingdom of heaven and earth and to put this man into captivity. Yahweh shall cast them out of his belly. He shall suck the poisons of ass, the viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of the honey and the butter. You see all of these riches and wealth that he has today. This man lives in the best places, drinks, eats the best food. You know, I'm talking about the global elites of these people, because they don't really care too much for the average John and Jane Doe of their own people. This is an establishment of the global elite under Esau, the Edomites, the so-called white man that rules this world. They don't care too much for their people who now will be suffering under this rulership, because they need to get them under this new world order rulership as well. So they're going to have to suffer. So they will sacrifice their own people, these globalist elites, to obtain this ultimate power. It says, that which he labored for shall he restore. Everything that he's stolen, he's going to restore. And shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be. He shall not rejoice therein. You see, just as he's about to fill his belly, the Lord's going to take it from him. He's not going to rejoice in everything that he's got planned to establish this new world order with the globalist elite, starting with the small hats, the Amalekites. Amalek, the Amalekites are Edomites. Amalek is Esau's grandson. Just so you understand. And it's the small hats today that they refer to as the J people are the controllers of the whole system. They are the head global elites, starting with the head banking families of these global elites. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Oppenheimers, the Vanderbilts, the JP Morgans, Goldman Sachs, all of these institutions and families, these banking institutions that the small hats control. He's not going to be able to rejoice in them, but he's getting ready to edge in the last part of his plan. Because he has oppressed and has forsaken the poor, because he has violently taken away a house which he buildeth not. That's what he did when he came to the Americas. This is why when that lady, Breonna Taylor, was saying to him, what the Israelis are doing, these Eastern Europeans that are doing it in Palestine, is the same thing that they did when they came to the Americas. They violently took away the house, the land of the Native American Indians, which they builded not. They took it all. They enslaved them. They murdered them. They incarcerated them. They infected them with smallpox to completely annihilate them. They committed genocide to take the land. It's the same thing they're doing in Palestine. They're committing genocide, except this time we've got TV cameras to film it live. Everyone can live stream it and see the genocide. Could you imagine if they had cameras around during the time when these Europeans came to the Americas, when these Edomites came to the Americas and committed genocide against the Native American Indians? Could you imagine if they had cameras around during the transatlantic slave trade and people were able to film the slave ships coming to the Americas and offloading the slaves and selling them and going back to the West Coast and buying the slaves and capturing them and put them on the ships, and the cameras were on the ship filming the slaves in the holes of the ships where they lived, living in their own sewage, feces, urine, living in their own feces, urine, sewage, eating, sleeping in the same place. Could you imagine if there was cameras around then? It says, surely he shall not fill the quietness of his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall be none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked, that word wicked there is our I think it's pronounced al-lama, means the laborer, shall come upon him. That word wicked, I believe, is, they say amal, but I think it's pronounced
Strong's H 6001.
Mala,
A male.
which means sufferer, laborer, workman, sufferer. It's not actually talking about the wicked. It's talking about your average blue collar, white collar worker. The laborer is going to come against him. That's where you're going to get the uproars for the people. All right. In his fullness of his sufficiency, when he thinks everything's in place, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, sign it all off yet. New world orders in place. Microchips gone global. When he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Not literally eating, symbolically eating, celebrating his wealth, his new world order, the new AI world, digital currencies, the microchips in place, the uproars of the people all under control, the chaos, the order out, the chaos has been established. He shall flee from the iron weapon, which is the nuclear missile. This is when all hell's going to break loose. This is when something drastically is going to change that's going to cause the nations to go to a nuclear war against each other. And the bow of steel shall strike him through. The bow of steel is the intercontinental ballistic missile. The main targets of these places is going to be Israel and America. Little brother and big brother, tag team. The least of the flock shall draw them out. And Israel, the Amalek, the Israelis, who are the Amalekites, are the ones that are going to cause this to take place. The iron weapon, the bow of steel, the nuclear war. It is drawn and cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword, the intercontinental ballistic missile cometh out of his gourd. Terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. What fire is that? That's the nuclear fire from the intercontinental ballistic missiles. The least of the flock is going to draw them out, which is what we are seeing unfold. The Israelis are going to bring this upon America, the nuclear strike from the Russians. The Israelis are going to bring upon a nuclear strike upon Israel from the Russians and its allies. Iran, China will be involved. North Korea will be involved. And then America and its NATO allies will be involved. A fire not blown shall consume him. That's the nuclear missiles. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart, because America is going to be totally destroyed, and so is Israel, except Israel shall be rebuilt up, because Israel is part of the kingdom of heaven that's coming to earth. Remember, the kingdom, the HQ for the kingdom of heaven is going to start from the river Euphrates in Iraq to the river Nile in Egypt. So the Israel that we see today, Palestine, is just part of it. So the increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man. Who is that wicked man? Esau, Edom, the Edomites, starting with the head tribe, Amalek, the Amalekites, the so-called small hats, the so-called J people. This is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, Yahweh, and the heritage appointed unto him by Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So that's what's coming eventually. All praises and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakah Kodash. So she did a good job in calling this devil out, this small hat out. She did a good job in calling him out, as you can see. Small hats are losing the social media wars. You know, and there's still a bit more to go, like we keep telling you. The war of Armageddon, World War III, the microchip, all got to come into play. So I pray you are edified. All praise and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the 144,000 and the mixed multitude.